The Alpha Sessions.
Hello and welcome to Alpha Sessions with me, guest host Emily, and today I'm here with the lovely Laura Reznek.
Hello.
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 How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to talk to Laura. Just to let you guys know, I've been a bit of a fan for, I think we first met in 2000, was it 18 or 19?
2018.
We did a gig together.
We did.
Yeah, we played the St John's Hoxton Church.
Yes.
Yes.
One of my favourites.
Yeah, oh, such nice. Playing a gig in a church is just acoustic-wise lovely.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the dream.
So ever since then, I've kind of been following you a little bit, not in a creepy way.
Although you did wear the same outfit as me today,
Yeah,
so it's questionable.
Anyone who's not watching but is listening, we are both wearing the same outfit, but I promise I didn't do that on purpose, but I might start doing it from now on. So, okay, just kicking off, I was having a look at your Spotify, and the last thing was the 2022 remix album, but first the 2021 album Agrimony.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So tell me what's the name about and why did you call it that?
So Agrimony is it's a collection of songs I wrote sort of between 2018 and 2020. And after I'd sort of finished recording, I have a collaborator that I work with a lot. Her name is Sophie. She's a dancer, and so we had this dream of putting all these songs together for a big dance show, and I wasn't really sure. I started writing and recording them one by one, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to continue on in music. I was kind of feeling a little bit disillusioned, but then all the songs just kept on coming and coming, and I wasn't sure what they were going to look like. And then I was sitting with her. We were listening through all the songs, dreaming up this show, basically. And I was like, I want one word that sums up all of them. Because I was trying to look through lyrics and see if anything came up that...
tied it together.
Yeah, that tied it together. Nothing did. And that day she'd happened to... she was seeing a herbalist, and the herbalist had given her this herb to work with, which basically, it's called agrimony.
Agrimony, not agrimony. I was saying it wrong.
Agrimony.
Sorry.
And it basically was the meaning behind, or in plant medicine use, it's basically to reveal the mask, reveal what's underneath the mask. And a lot of the songs the album itself is about healing in different ways, of personal healing, familial, community healing, and kind of just and being vulnerable, and that just seemed to really fit, and it just happened to be it was just very synchronistic that
that's awesome. It's a very cool title as well, because it's I don't know, it's a word that I don't know, maybe everyone knows that word apart from me.
I'd never heard of it, no.
Okay.
But it was just one of those light bulb where it just, you kind of know when you hear it, and that just sits well.
Did you do the dance thing as well?
We're working on it, yeah.
Oh, you're working on it now?
Yeah, we're developing this show that's basically going to be toured across Canada next year with 4 dancers and a string quartet and full band. So it's coming together. So the album came out first, but it will live on, I think, as in this entity.
So everyone listening, you can probably tell. If you can't, Laura is not English. Her accent is actually Canadian.
Yes.
So you were born in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, born and raised Vancouver.
Yeah. And then when did you first move to London?
In 2015 spring. So it's been almost 8 years, but with breaks in between, mainly visa related.
Oh yeah, because I went to Vancouver in 2001. The dates are always, I think it was 2019, and you were there.
Uh-huh. I became friends with your friend.
Yeah, Harriet. Shout out to Harriet. And then you came back to London in
October 2020. Very strange time to move.
Yeah. And you live in Kent now.
I live in Kent. Yeah. Never thought I'd end up in Kent, but I have. I'm live in a little village.
Oh, dream.
I'm becoming a curtain twitcher. I spy on my neighbours and get really involved in. Actually, no.
Actually, really, probably quite good for songwriting.
It's great. Yeah, I'm a big creep. My favorite thing is looking into people's windows and getting involved with their personal life.
I'm kidding. No, me too. I'm such a people watcher. Yeah. So when you first moved to London, what was that like coming from Vancouver? I mean, Vancouver is obviously, it's not like the countryside, but it's a smaller place, and
I sort of was, I didn't really feel like I knew I wanted to be involved in the arts and work in music, and Vancouver just wasn't quite doing it for me, and it was the place that I grew up, and I didn't really feel like getting comfortable or settling, and London in particular was always a place that I wanted to live. I had a lot of family here growing up, so I would come every summer usually, and I just would always I'd never want to leave, and it would always be like kind of ripping. I felt like I was ripping myself away, so I always told myself that I would end up. And then I just made the jump, did it, and I haven't really looked back. It's been a great. It was, I felt like within that first month of living here, I went out every single night and went to all these open mics and I feel like the people I'm still friends with now to this day I met in my first month, or like everyone that I met that month, they've all sort of branched out from there. Like I've met their friends, and it just like, I feel like I moved at a really good time where it was just like a really good crew of people that were all doing like circuit, like in the circuit basically.
The London music general sprawling circuit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
your family, like, were they, I know you've got a classical music background, obviously. I don't say obviously. It's obvious to me. So you played piano, violin? Yeah,
I started with violin when I was about 3 or 4. My mum, both me and my brother, she was like, you guys are learning an instrument, and it doesn't matter what it is, you have to keep going. And I hated practicing. I was like, absolutely. So every time I would complain about practicing the violin, Mom was like, okay, well, choose another instrument because you're not playing. And so
why was she so into you playing instruments? Is she musical?
She plays the violin, so I chose the violin because she played the violin, and it was more like, I'm grateful for it now, but it's just, she was like, you will thank me when you're older, and I do. And so I took lessons, but my mom was always really good about finding good mentors. So I always had a really great violin teacher, like that would always let me do whatever I wanted to do, because I didn't really like going through.
Really? That's quite unusual I feel like, because I played violin as well, and my dad also was a violinist. I think we've probably talked about this at some point, but my teachers were always like really classical and quite regimented, and I feel like I was the same as you. Like, I didn't enjoy practicing particularly, and the stuff I was playing was like classical music that I didn't really connect to. But your teachers were like,
I think my very first one, I think, was one of those, like, very like strict, and obviously did not connect with her, and was I don't like being told what to do, basically. So I think my mom saw that, so all the teachers that I had, I would pick my songs that I wanted to do, and sometimes they'd be way above. Like, I think I wanted to do Vivaldi's Summer, like one of the Four Seasons piece, when I was about 8, and I think I'm still trying to learn it, but I was desperate to learn it, and I usually like to run before I can walk, kind of. But I had teachers that would support that, and so I started with violin, and then basically took up guitar and piano around the same sort of time, when I was around. Actually, it was because I had a math tutor who is now my very, very good friend. He was basically like my mentor and got me through school. And his name is Matt, and he was very musical as well. But he'd come over to teach me math, and he would reward me with a jam session after. So basically, I learned how to like jam, because that was my reward for getting through an hour of math.
Oh my gosh.
And so and he started to teach me guitar. And then always wanted to play piano. My brother chose piano as his instrument, and so I would always like listen in to his lessons and try to pick out everything by ear that he was learning. And then one Christmas, I think my parents gave me a keyboard, and I just put it in my bedroom, and I put it against the window, so I would sit and I would look out the window onto like into windows, all my neighbors' windows. This is a running theme here. Yep. And I would just play for like 8. I would stay up late into the night and just make up songs, because I didn't know how to play anything else. So that's sort of my my piano education.
Super like hungry for creativity, it sounds like, when you like, well, I'm sure now as well, but it sounds like that was kind of driving you, this kind of, and like hunger for like knowledge and creativity and doing things, and knowledge, like, but I wanted to like learn it myself, like, or I wanted to do it myself, like, or I would seek out people, like-minded people to teach me how, but I did not like being like, school was not a good situation academically for me. I couldn't handle it, and too much being told what to do. I'm going to do this maths my way. Okay, 2 + 2, it does not equal 4.
Exactly. Don't climb trees, darling, you would fall. What would I do when you hurt? Darling, I do too. Still you take such risks like these, following all of your friends. You're shaking the windows again, like a rattling chain in my head. Do as I said, over and over again. Don't wade too deep, darling, you would drown. What would I do when you can't breathe? I can't breathe for you. Still you take such risks like these, following all of your friends. You're shaking the windows again, like a rattling chain in my head. Do as I said, over and over again. Ooh, ooh. Who has teeth but doesn't bite? Who hunts but not to kill? Who's gonna tell you when you're wrong, when no one else will? Don't walk at night, darling, you get lost. What would I do when you can't see? I can't see for you. So you take such risks like these, following all of your friends. You're shaking the windows again, like a rattling chain in my head. Do as I said, do as I said, do as I said, do as I said. Do as I said, 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 over and over again.
The Alpha Sessions.
What was your first band?
I don't know, but I think I went through, like, I'm not sure what you were like when you were little, but I was used to get, like, whenever I wanted to hang out with a friend, I'd always get my parents to call their parents and be like, can you arrange a play date for us? Like, can you, like...
I can't remember that far
I don't know.
back.
Well, but I remember going to my dad once, and I was like, I really want to be in a band with my friend Emily. Can you ask her dad if she will be in a band with me? And I was about, like, 5 or 6.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't think I did that.
No.
I don't know. I can't remember. But, like, I do remember playing... I feel like I've talked about this. Potentially I've already talked about this on Alpha Sessions, playing games in the playground and like making up songs with friends and dances.
Oh yeah, dances. Yeah, huge.
But I don't think we ever like formed an official band. Mm-hmm. So what did you play in the band?
that was an imaginary band. I was I had
because you were like
no
5.
concept of but I think definitely when I was like in high school I wanted to be like went through like my Britney Spears, like Christina Aguilera, Destiny's Child fit, where I wanted to start like a girl group and do that kind of thing, just like sing.
So this the album, I just feel like I'm still a bit scared to say the word agrimony. Agrimony. Oh,
I mean, I say it could be. I could also have been pronouncing it wrong this entire time.
I mean, I feel like I'm going to go with you over me, who's learned the word today. But so is this basically you said that you are collaborating on this dance thing, and you're learning. Tell me if I'm wrong here. You're learning how to mix right now. Is that part of the same thing?
Oh no, that's a different thing.
Okay, so I'm getting so 'cause this is basically you again, like kind of learning new stuff and doing it your own way.
Yeah. So that the other, I basically just realized, like, having worked with Sophie on this project since we've basically started dreaming this up 2018, so almost 5 years ago. And dance was always something that I wanted to be, and like I always wanted to dance, and but I never started I didn't start when I was young. I remember going to like hip hop and jazz classes when I was 10, and I had this like weird feeling that I was too old even then to start. I've always had this weird glitch in my brain where I'm just like, oh no, I'm too old to start. So like all the other kids have started when they were 4, so I can't.
I was gonna say, because you said when I was 10, and I was like, that's still quite young, Laura.
So I don't know. I don't know who told me that, but that was something that I felt, and I just every now and then I would like pick up again and do a term of dance, or started with tap, but I'd get really frustrated and I was like, oh, this doesn't really come naturally to me, but I love it so much, and I really desperately wanted to be involved. And I've realized, since working with Sophie and learning more about the contemporary dance world and how I just feel like it's a medium that I really understand, or that I can really like, and I really had a revelation last year. I just want to make music for dance.
So are you dancing in this thing as well?
No, but it's a piece. So like the musicians and the music, they'll all be on stage. Everybody will be on stage, and sort of part of this choreographed. The music will be played live, but then there's like a narrative that has been built around the songs.
Is there going to be talking as well?
There's no talking. No, it's just the music. It's like an hour-long contemporary dance
show.
Like
an opera. Kind of.
Sort of. But the focus is like, it's and
it's all based on these songs from this album.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It kind of is a bit like a musical.
Sort of,
but without the bits in between. So let's talk about the songs. Mm-hmm. So the first one that you played is Rattling Chains.
Yeah. So Rattling Chains was the second song that I wrote and recorded for the show, or the album. But it was actually the catalyst of it's how I ended up meeting Sophie as well, because Sophie and I had a mutual friend who he's a dancer as well. He's going to be in the show, but he'd had all this footage of her. And he was looking for a song to basically set all this amazing footage. She had this beautiful mask on, and I'd just written this song. And I was like, oh, this could be sort of like the vibe maybe. And he's like, oh yeah, this is great. And I happened to be going to Toronto like a few weeks later. He's like, you should meet her. You should talk about it. And then just, when you meet people and you just immediately are drawn to them, and you just get along. And that was sort of what happened with Sophie. And so I was just like, okay, well, I guess I just recorded the other song called You Are Bad, which is the first single off the record. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I could just record one more, and then that will be, you can use this. But we just got so excited. We were like, well, we're going to have to make a whole show, obviously. So we're going to have to keep on recording.
So cool.
Yeah.
You Are Bad is another one that I know. Mm-hmm. Guys, you should listen to that, check that one out. It's recorded in a really interesting way as well. I feel like I looked a little bit into this. You do stuff with like, I don't know how to word this, I've forgotten what it's called, but you like find different sounds from the world and put that in your music. Yeah, right?
That was definitely a running theme for these songs. But that one in particular, I was working with my friend and very frequent collaborator, Shane Stevenson, who's produced the record. And And yeah, that was our first sort of foray into working with each other, and we just wanted to have a lot of fun. And we were at his parents' house, and his dad had a really a workshop where he worked on his cars, and we were just dropping chains and slamming doors and car doors and just collecting all these things, and then manipulating them, and it was just really fun. So with that song, I know how all the songs were made, how all the sounds were made.
Yeah.
And, it was just a lot of fun, and I think that was the whole premise of the album for me, was because it came after a time where I was just questioning whether or not to keep on going. I was feeling just maybe this isn't for me anymore, but I'm going to give this one last go and just have fun, and I just want this to be a joyful experience, and I want to work with people that I want to work with, and I want to take time and just make it enjoyable. And now I look back on those songs, and every time I listen to them, I just feel that joyful feeling, because it's hard to listen back to your own work, and I always want to remove myself from it. As soon as I release, I'm like, okay, that's done, on to the next.
Me too.
Yeah. But with this, it's just I feel because it was so slow, and because it was so mindful and fun, that I can look back and it's a bit easier to
handle. And it's so interesting that you were in this place where you were kind of doubting what you were doing or whether you wanted to do it, and so you just wanted to, like you said, have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ended up kind of having all this huge project and being really inspired, and it's still I think you're saying you basically still don't mind the songs, which I think is a massive achievement, because honestly, after releasing music, basically every time I release something, I'm like, I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's so great.
It's also what keeps you going. It's okay, always chasing that. Next one has to be better, and you're always gonna. Sometimes I feel that negative self-talk, that inner critic, goes a bit too far, and when it becomes a bit debilitating. But sometimes it's very useful when it's okay, I'm done with that. That was of a time, and now I need to grow with it.
Filled up all your rooms so full there was no room to stay. Or will you choose a high road or high horse to find your way? You tried to heal yourself, you're not the healing kind. And I tried to build a highway down your one-track mind. They can't be trusted, they all tend to look the same. The ones who sell the antidote are the ones who cause the pain, just like their holy water. You can buy it by the bottle, but everything you feel today will still be felt tomorrow. You could rely on me. You could rely on me. Just rely on me. Just rely on me. Just rely on me. Like a habit you don't easily break. Oh, you were told that you deserve the world, and so you always take. They say collectors keep collecting. It doesn't matter what the cost, and while it's accumulating, you won't know how much you lost. You can imagine it away, but it won't get you far. Or you could blame it on the moon or something bigger than you are. Or you could rely on me. You could rely on me. Just 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 rely on me.
The Alpha Sessions.
I am interested in asking you about what you were like thinking at that time when you were kind of questioning whether you wanted to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you don't have to talk about. I don't know if you don't want to talk about it, but like, what was happening then? Like that made you kind of question.
Yeah, I think. It was just a weird time. I was sort of in between. Like I had to leave the UK because of visa issues, and I was back in Vancouver, and I was working like 6 different jobs and not sleeping, and I was working like full-time for my dad, and I was working as an event manager, so I was like out like all night for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I was working really early mornings both week. It was just like this very intense time. I got shingles. It was like just I had decided that like, okay, if I can't go back to England right now, I'm just gonna like throw myself into work. And it just music had just taken a bit of a back burner, and I can't even remember. It was just one of those things where it's just like, maybe it's time. I mean, and I think I always go through ups and downs with it as well. It's a very hard thing to stay motivated when it's completely self-driven. Mm-hmm. If there are days that I'm not feeling particularly motivated, it's very difficult. And especially this past year has been just like a personally difficult year, where I've wanted to try and move forward, but it's just there are certain events that have happened that have just prevented that, or I've like been having to just
I think like the more I talk to other fellow musicians, creative people, singer-songwriters, whatever, the more I think that like having those ups and downs and having periods where you're feeling really inspired and really creative and you're making loads of stuff, and then having periods where you're like, what am I doing? Yeah. Like, why am I doing this? I think that's literally so normal and almost like an imperative part of the whole process. Like, you can't be on and creating and all the time. It's just,
it's cyclical, and it's I've learnt this term wintering, which seems to be like a lot of people have been talking about wintering lately, and it's so having that downtime and the time to reflect, especially like on a personal level, where a lot of things, like a lot of loss happened in 2022, that it just was just incredibly difficult. And I still, even with that, like I lost my dad a year ago, and so even in that, I still, a couple weeks later, I was like, okay, I can't just like sit still. Like I need to do something. My mind needs to go somewhere. I need to use this somehow, like, and put all of this pressure to still like keep going. And I just kept on like getting burnt out, and like, and then halfway down the line, I was like, okay, I'm just going to give myself like after a year has passed, then I'll continue like the work again, and or I won't beat myself up as much if I have days where I just need to like lie on my couch and not talk to anybody, and that will be fine. And a year passed, and I'm like, oh, I know, like, then because I'd put so much pressure on, like, after a year is done, then that pressure started to build up, and it just, I hit a bit of a wall of not sure how to move forward. So this past couple months have just been a lot of hunkering down and learning some new skills and trying to just regroup and figure stuff out.
Well, thank you so much for talking about that. It does sound like you're doing pretty well. You're being kind of hard on yourself, because it's obviously very understandable that you haven't been producing like every minute.
It's also like the capitalist mindset too. It's like it's not easy world it's not a completely natural world to be living in. And also when you're a musician, you wrap up so much of your identity and of who you are and what you do. I always struggled with that a little bit. I'm like, who am I if I'm not doing the thing?
Yeah. What is the sort of, do you have, apart from obviously you've talked about this show, so remind me what you said, because you said it's going to be touring in
we're going to take it to a couple theatres across Canada next year in 2024.
In 2024. Yeah. Okay, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
And then what about like what's your kind of, do you have any kind of plan for this year, 2023? Like,
yeah, so the other project I'm working on is also with Sophie again. She's written a solo show, or she's choreographed a solo show, which is about 20 minutes long, that I composed original music for. And I started working on it in the summer of last year. And so it's been this thing out of necessity. I've had to write and record it and mix it and produce it myself. But it's been almost like, I've thought of it as a bit of like a university thesis, like a level of like, it's quite a big piece. It's quite intricate, using a lot more different, like more electronic kind of infused, but I've still used a lot of violin within that. So it's sort of like a electronic classical crossover piece. And it kind of took over my life, especially these past couple months as I've been finishing it, and I haven't really been leaving my house very much, which has been great. I know. So yeah, wait, you said Radio Broccoli. I thought I was just coming up the road to Broccoli. I didn't realize I was coming. Anyways, no, I'm very happy to have left. Any excuse to get myself out of the house is good. But yeah, so that's. But yeah, she's performing it next month at the National Arts Centre in Ottawa, in Canada. Next month, April. Actually, a month today, she'll be premiering that show, which is very exciting.
That's so cool. I feel like we've like barely, there's so many other things I want to talk to you about, and like we've just already talked for quite a long time, and I'm like, oh no, but wait, like we haven't even mentioned, let's talk about the third song. Yes. Which is did you say you're releasing it next month as well?
Also next month, yeah. So
what date?
On April 5th.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. So that's called Open Season.
Yes.
Tell me about Open Season.
Open Season is a song basically about misogyny, toxic masculinity, especially within the digital landscape and media. So just, I feel like it's a thing that it came after a time. I was having a really big songwriting, or just a writer's block, drought. Hadn't been able to write anything in months, and then I was my friend Martha and I were reading this article, and now I can't even remember what the article is, but we just got really heated, and it was a male writer writing about I think it was someone had written about Billie Eilish or something, about something she was wearing, and I was like, oh, I'm just like so, and we're getting fired up. And then Martha's usually my go-to if I'm feeling creatively stunted. She'll give me a title to work with, and she was like, hey, this is your title, take it and run with it. And it was just, and I think it came out within like an hour. So it was, one of those ones where I just
amazing.
Just kind of came out. And then that is being released as a double single, or I'm calling it like a micro EP. It's just two songs, A and B side, with another song called Leap Year, which I wrote for a short film that I scored last year. But so Leap Year was a song that I didn't have any lyrics for, but I wrote the lyrics basically right after my dad died, and I recorded that song a month after my dad. So the song sort of bookended this sort of major event in my life, and that's why I wanted to keep them together. It's like it's like a before and after kind of situation. And so that Open Season is coming out next month, and then Leap Year will follow in May, and I'm really excited about them.
Oh my gosh, you are amazing, Laura. You're like, oh yeah, and I'm scoring this, and then I'm learning this, and I play this, and anyway. Okay, well, I feel like, it's probably a really good time to kind of wrap up, but that there are like 1,000 more things I could ask you, honestly. Do you want to just finish off by like just plugging your socials, basically, like where can people find you and your music and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, I know that's no one actually likes saying that, but
so if you want to come onto Instagram, I mainly just post about my goats, which I have. My mom bought a farm, and I made sure that there are now 5 goats that live in this farm. They're in Canada, but she did put in a camera that I can like tune in and watch them every now and then. But they are my children, so I post about them a lot, and then the odd musical thing.
So for all of you goat Lovers.
it's a niche crowd.
Yeah.
I'm trying to attract.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just Laura Reznek on Instagram, and then music is on all the things. So Spotify, Tidal pays more. So if you do have Tidal.
Right. Yeah. I'm terrible because I've had Spotify for such a long time that I just can't not use it anymore. Anyway, maybe, I don't know if we're supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just so handy. But yeah, on all things. But yeah, mainly I'm too old for TikTok, I've decided, so that's not happening anytime
Okay,
soon.
fair enough. I've joined it, but it's a tricky one. That could be a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Laura, thank you so much for coming and playing those beautiful songs and talking to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I did what I did, what I did, I now cannot undo. I did what I did, what I did, I have pictures to prove. He is who he is, and I am who he's not. Oh, he's got a good eye, I'm a pretty good shot anyways. It's open season, he says. In the summer she shed her skin, look how she gleams in the sun. I'm up in the stands and she's safe behind glass in the mud. It's that time of year, I'll be standing in line. She'll shoot daggers at me and I'll give her a piece of my mind. It was fun at the time, fun at the time. Ooh, it was fun at the time, fun at the time. Ooh. Those clothes that she wore from her head all the way to her feet. Well, I had to get out 'cause I just couldn't handle the heat. She's avoiding my glance and she's altered her stance. So how could she expect me to ever take that as a sign? It was fun at the time. You were fun at the time. Ooh, you were fun at the time. Fun at the time. Ooh, you don't come when you're called anymore. We're all shocked and appalled, and it's making us all change our mind about you. He left me no choice, I never asked why. He left me in pieces in the summertime. He watched me too close, held me too tight. Leave me in peace in the summertime. He left me no choice, I never asked why. He left me in pieces in the summertime. Watch me too close, held me too tight. Leave me in peace in the summertime. Ooh, 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 ooh. It was fun at the time. It was fun at the time. It was fun at the time. Fun at the time.